Descent with modification. Organisms change with time, diverging from a common form. So the common form was mainly orange, but there was some variation. And if this population got split by, let's say, being on two different islands, then maybe one island would favor the yellow and another island would favor the darker one. So eventually you have these maybe two different species. Organisms alive today, like these two, descended from common ancestors.
Like that one.
This caused the evolution of new species. So one example of that is the whale evolution. So you watched a movie on this. Whales evolved from a land creature with 4 legs. DNA evidence shows they're more closely related to cows than they are to the wolves like you saw in the movie, but the concepts are all the same. So you had this land animal that went into the water maybe to escape from a predator or maybe
to catch
prey. And eventually it became more adapted to the water. And over many, many generations, it actually lost the use of the back legs. So it didn't even have a pelvis eventually. It didn't even have a neck eventually. But if you look at the bone structure, it's the same.
So if you look at the fossil record, it still does have that.
Right. And if you look at the fossil record, you can see the change over time. So species today look different. From their ancestors. But all species living and extinct were derived from a common ancestor. So this is, this is the tree of life showing all the diversity that's on the planet today. Here's the common ancestor, and from there, the bacteria evolved, and the archaea evolved, and the eukaryotes evolved.
I thought we found out that we were closer related to fungi than plants.
Yeah, so this tree of life maybe isn't perfect, but it's kind of a general idea. So, for example, this is showing you that all animals evolved from a common ancestor, and all plants evolved from a common ancestor, and you're right, this should probably be more like this.
Yeah.
But close enough for now. All living organisms are related. So you can see, based on our DNA, that we actually share some DNA with bacteria in archaea. Natural variation and artificial selection. So we're talking about natural selection most of the time. Artificial selection means what, David?
When the people choose the desired traits or
exactly
as close as they can get to choosing desired traits.
Exactly. So there's some natural variation, and farmers decide what they want to breed. So farmers use natural variation to improve crops and livestock by choosing which organisms to breed. So this is called selective breeding.
Yeah. It was called artificial.
It's also called artificial. So it's artificial selection, or you can also call it selective breeding. They decide to breed the cows with the most milk production, with the bulls who, let's see, how can I say this? They decide to breed the cows that make more milk as opposed to the cows that don't make more milk. So that's how you end up getting cows with an enormous ability to make milk. Or how corn developed. So this is what they started with, early farmers, and then they bred the ones that had them. They used the seeds from the ones that made more seeds, and so you end up getting eventually the modern corn. Evolution is a change in a population over time. Compare evolution by artificial selection and evolution by natural selection. What's the difference, David?
Oh, well, artificial selection is when people choose the desired traits, and natural selection is when nature chooses the desired traits.
Perfect. Evolution by natural selection concepts. So this is what Darwin said. There's a struggle for existence, whether they're competing for food or for mates or space or water or whatever. The fittest in that environment survive and reproduce. In a different environment, the fittest might be a different group.
It's still the fittest that survives.
Still the fittest for that environment, yep. New species arise from a common ancestor, replacing less fit species for that environment. Hey, nice adaptation, Larry.
Which one's Larry?
This one's Larry.
Has an ice cream cone.
Adaptation. Inherited characteristics that increase an organism's chance for
survival.
You got it. So that's what an adaptation is. So that would be cool if a shark had an ice cream cone looking fin.
That would be horrible. The death rate would rise.
So adaptations can be physical, like speed or camouflage or having quills. So this is how fast the cheetah's going on the quills or whatever. So that's some kind of a physical adaptation. Yep. Or it can be behavioral, like Do
living
they
in packs.
right, like working in a pack or in herds or solitary animals. Over time, natural selection results in changes in the inherited characteristics of a population. These changes increase a species' fitness for the environment. And I think I'm going to stop right there.